Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF in Europe. In this training tape, we're going to have a look at unsportsmanlike conduct, and more specifically, we'll look at taunting. What is too much, and when do we call it, and how do we call it? But before we get to the game film, let's have a look to see what the rulebook and MOFO have to say on this topic. In the rulebook, we go to Rule 9.2 Unsportsmanlike Conduct, where Article 1 says, "There shall be no unsportsmanlike conduct or any act that interferes with orderly game administration on the part of players, substitutes, coaches, authorized attendants, or any other person subject to the rules before the game, during the game, or between periods. Infractions for these acts by players are administered as either live ball or dead ball fouls, depending on when they occur." And then 1A1B specifically talks about taunting, which is the focus on in this training tape. As for the MOFO, we go to 3.5 Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Celebration is different from taunting. Be more tolerant of it. A sack dance over a tackled opponent should always be penalized. And C, only penalize spiking after score if it taunts an opponent. It need not be intentional, but it does have to be in the direction of an opponent. D says celebration should be penalized if it involves any of the 20 specific prohibitions in Rule 9.2.1, the ball, player equipment, field equipment, any object taken from another person, any prop, or player going to the ground in a delayed and unnecessary manner. E goes on to say an act that isn't on the above list is probably legal, so be tolerant of it, unless you believe it is abusive, threatening, or obscene, provokes ill will, or demeans the game. Don't be a prude, which is one who excessively is concerned with being or appearing to be proper, modest, or righteous, or person who is easily shocked or offended by things that do not shock or offend other people. If an illegal celebration occurs near the goal line, assume that it occurred after the score, unless an official was in an excellent position to rule on the exact location. And finally, G says choreographed means that one or more players have clearly pre-decided, prearranged, or rehearsed how they will move as in a dance. And that was the theory. Now let's have a look at some game film. In this first example, we're looking at the runner, the running back who's going to end up running to this side. And what we're looking at is the way that he, slightly alters his stride, and he looks back at the potential tackler, knowing that the tackler is not going to get to him. But in this case, there simply isn't enough for a flag. Now we'll have a look also at the end zone shot. From the end zone shot, we get a little bit better angle at what he's showing to the defender, where he's looking at him and altering his stride a little bit. There's a little bit there. There's a talk to there that we could do, but it's simply not enough for a foul for taunting here. For comparison, here's a similar play where the runner gets the ball, obviously, and then he breaks free. And as he gets into the open, he starts looking back. Now, looking back in itself is okay, but then he does that with the ball. He takes the ball and elevates it as kind of a trophy. And once he does that, that is not something that he would do in a normal running fashion. So once he does that, this is a taunting that should be called. And since he does it around the 10-yard line, that is a spot foul that takes away the score. So that should have been 15 yards back from the spot of the foul. And again, just looking at a defender is okay, but once you take your ball out and like that, present it as a trophy or showcasing it, this is a foul for taunting. We're moving on to a different category here, which is the choreographed celebration. And here we have several aspects of this that are illegal. First of all, it's choreographed to draw attention. One of the guys goes to the ground to provide the knee for the shoe shine. So this is too much for us not to call, and I think the reason that we miss it is we get too focused on the ball. So here the deep wing, instead of dead ball officiating, he's too focused on the ball, even goes around them while they're shining the shoe to get to the ball, and the back judge also is very focused on the ball. You see he comes in towards the ball, and once we get the ball in, he kind of backs out. So we don't really have any dead ball officiating. Probably umpire also is focused on the ball. So we really should catch this, because this is choreographed. We're going to the ground, and it's prolonged, and this is just too much not to call as a taunting. The next three plays, we're looking at diving into the end zone and see how much is too much. Here the quarterback scrambles around and he dives into the end zone. Now this is not a foul. This is simply to make sure that he scores. The defenders are close enough that this is not done in a taunting manner. And we'll see that very clearly from the end zone shot. From this angle, we get an even better sense of how close the defenders were when the quarterback dove into the end zone. You see here how B-52 even makes a collision with the quarterback right after he scores. So again, this is certainly not taunting for diving into the end zone. Same teams in the same game, but this time instead of the quarterback, it's the running back. And again, this is not done in a taunting manner. This is simply done to stay in bounds. Right there, if he doesn't dive now, he's going to go out of bounds, and the defender is close enough that this is a legal play. This is not it's not done to demean the defenders who have already been beaten. Also, good coverage out of bounds by the deep wings here. So compare the last couple of examples to this one, and once he gets free here and he goes all the way down the field, once he clears this last defender, I think you can see the difference is this is a celebratory dive. This is not to make sure that you score. This is, I've just beaten the last defender. I am the best player in the world, and here comes my Superman impression. So this is a taunting dive. This is a diving in a manner that is demeaning to the defense, and this should be called as was called as an unsportsmanlike conduct. Now, live ball or dead ball. If we have doubts, or to put it in another way, if we don't know for sure that it is a live ball foul, we want to go with a dead ball foul. And in this case, it's tough to tell for sure because it happens right on the goal line, and we don't have anybody on the goal line. It would have been super great to have the deep wing and the back judge on the goal line, but I realize that after 70 yards, and these kids are fast, it can be tough to get down there. But obviously, if we were on the goal line, we would have been able to see that he actually jumps from around the 3 or the 4 yard line. So he's getting ready to jump now, and this is before the goal line. But that can be really tough to do in real life, especially on long plays like this. So it's good to get this. It would have been even better to have it as a live ball foul that would have taken away the score. The last category we'll look at is gestures towards an opponent. In this first example, the cornerback will do as we can see, an incomplete signal right after the play here. And had he been looking down at the receiver and done anything prolonged, as we'll see in the next play, it would have been a different situation. But here there just isn't enough. It's a very quick signal there, and he's not even looking down at the receiver. Now he's looking away at his teammate. So this simply is not enough for a foul. So this example is probably as close as we're going to get to standing over an opponent without a flag. This is very, very close, and you know, had he been there for just a split second longer, I would definitely support a flag. And if this is a game where tension is running high, I could certainly support a flag here too. If this game is well under control, I can understand why these officials only did a talk to, and because this is really right on the border where you'd have to know the feel of the game, and again, you know, if this running back had taken offense to this and kind of kicked out towards the B24, we'd probably end up with fouls on both these players. But again, I can live with a talk to, but I could also, if the game was such that it was needed, I could certainly also live with a flag for taunting on this one. So now we've gone from nothing at all to right on the edge, and here we go over the line, and we're looking at B50, but really it's easier to look at the right guard A72 because he is the one who is going to get hit by B50 during the return after this interception. So here comes B50 right there, hits A72, and right there, that is just too much. The hit was okay, but right there is, look at me, look at how strong I am, I got you, now you're on your backside, and I'm a big strong man. Big gesture, prolonged, and this is just too much to let go, and a good call for taunting. This next one is also going to be in the face of an opponent, and it's going to happen right in front of the umpire as he's moving down the field. There's going to be one player on the ground, as you'll see right there. We've got one player on the ground, and then the red jersey will pretend to offer to help him up and then remove his hand. Now that is just, you know, it to some people this is just funny. This looks like a fun move, but on a football field there's just no room for it. Emotions are running high, and if we don't call this is going to come back and haunt us on the next play or in the next series, and somebody's going to retaliate over that, and we'll lose control of the game potentially. So this could be a fun prank among friends, but on the football field, this is taunting and correctly called. In the last two clips, we have gesturing not directly towards an opponent, but rather towards the opponent's bench, and we'll see how they compare. This first one, it's the quarterback, and the opponent's sideline is to the other side of the field, obviously. Then he scores, and then he does, you know, whatever it is that he's doing over there, but it's just, it's too much, it's too close to the sideline, and it's too prolonged, and it's a good job by the center judge here to dead ball officiate, to follow what he's doing, and to call this, because this is too much that we can let it go. If we don't call this is going to cause trouble later on in the game. So good call by this center judge. In this last play, compare the cornerback's actions to the quarterback from the previous play. We've got an incomplete pass here, and the cornerback does an incomplete signal towards the opponent's sideline. But here, Initially it may look slightly bad, but he's 20 yards away from the sideline. It's very quickly, and then he looks away from the sideline, and he starts to engage with his teammates. So it's not really staring down an opponent, and he's not in anybody's face. So compared to the previous one, I think we can let this one go with a talk to, or maybe talk to the coach or somebody, because this is not nearly as bad as the previous one. And that was the training tape. I hope you found something you can use on the field.